Hello, I'm Danusia Malina-Derben, and this is Parents Who Think. Today, I'm joined by Michael, a father raising his daughter alone and raising eyebrows in the process. What begins as a personal story of sudden solo parenting quickly becomes a deeper conversation about unconscious bias, gendered expectations, and what equality actually looks like when you're living it day to day. Michael doesn't just talk about being a dad, he models a version of fatherhood that's thoughtful, intentional, and quietly radical. We cover everything from co-parenting collapse to conscious parenting, the politics of ponytails, and how men need to step into domestic life if we're ever going to move the dial on gender equity. This one's for anyone who's ever wondered what real-time transformation of the father role might look like. It looks like this.
Michael, thank you for being on the podcast today. Hello.
Hi, Danusia.
How did you become a lone parent?
Charlie's mother and I first separated when Charlie was 9 months old and co-parented as best we could. I was fairly lucky in one aspect. When we separated a couple of weeks after, I had a small car accident and they took me in to scan my neck, and on scanning my neck, they found out that I had a few tumours here and there in lungs and some masses in my brains. And because of that, the court rushed to 50-50 parenting to try and keep me involved in Charlie's life. And we got through all that. Then just after Charlie's second birthday, her mum suddenly, without warning, moved interstate. Her mum had had some battles of her own and has taken no further part in Charlie's life since then.
So basically, Charlie's mum didn't come and collect her. Is that right?
That's it. And when we couldn't contact her, we actually put in a missing persons report. It was, I think, about 3 weeks after that the police contacted us and said they'd managed to track her down and she didn't want to participate in Charlie's life anymore. And we left it at that.
So mum's decided to not be part of her life for her own reasons. And there you are. What do you do? What do you do next?
It wasn't a huge adjustment, Danusia, because going through the treatment, I'd arranged my work so that my time with Charlie was just time with Charlie, so that she was with me on those days 24/7. There were no distractions. It was just time for her and I. And as a personal trainer, my clients have been so supportive and accepting of my priority being with Charlie that they all grouped together so that I could do 3 days of training with them, and then the other 3 and 4 days where I would have her, I could just have her, and they're all happy to do that. So Charlie's never been in childcare. She's got a nanny. My mum is amazing. On the 3 mornings that I work, 2 of those are school days where nanny will get her to school, and that's it. So I've been lucky to be able to work around her. And because I've set the expectation with my clients, and it's not something that I shy away from, I think they're a lot more accepting of it than what a boss would be.
Do you think people are more accepting of your situation because you're a relative rarity? Whereas if you were a mother, people wouldn't rally around. It would be expected that you would just simply get on and do this yourself. You should be doing it.
It's ridiculous, the double standards that are applied. Even today, there's still a bit of a stigma applied to single mums, whereas I'm applauded and, just for doing the basic parenting things. And that's what I say, don't fall over dads just for being parents or for managing to do a ponytail or, getting a makeover or stuff like that. We're equal. We need to be held to the same standards as mothers. But on the flip side of that, it's made me realise some of the things along the way. I compete with men for opportunities in workplaces and that have a partner that will take over the parenting. And so there have been times where I've worked for organisations in the fitness industry where I didn't get offered a position because they'd made the assumption that I wouldn't be able to do it because of Charlie. And I think it's that unconscious bias or that, just that preconceived idea where a lot of women don't get offered the things, and it's got nothing to do with their ability, but the employer might think their priorities lay elsewhere. without actually offering it to start with.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, got you. So you come up against that kind of discrimination that's around the caring responsibilities rather than which gender you are.
Yeah, at the moment there's a huge debate going on that, they keep calling it women's work is unpaid and undervalued. And my argument or my retort is always, so what you're saying is I'm doing women's work. And they say, well, no, it's mainly women that do it. And I say, well, is it any more valued or paid when a male does it? Because I think in the battle for equality, we need to recruit more stakeholders than actually exclude them. So the minute they start going, parenting and caring is underpaid and undervalued, all of a sudden dads will hear it and go, well, hang on, I'm a parent, I'm a carer, what's this about? Whereas I find when I talk to guys about equality, they're all, no, I'm for it, I support it, women's equality, yes. And then I say to them, well, do you realise the women or your partners or anything like that to be able to grasp those opportunities that they've fought for, their hands are full with all of the outdated gender roles and expectations of carrying the kids, the household. So you might go, oh, but there's laws, we've got this program and that program, that they can't actually take advantage of them because they're so busy. And I think what's happened with the equality initiatives is they've just made it easier for women to work outside of the home while still maintaining all the work that they were doing inside of the home, because there hasn't been a concurrent push for fathers to be able to leave work and take up the extra stuff at home. So men aren't held equally responsible for raising the next generation. And I think that's what's holding the whole equality thing back, is because it's still expected that we've given women the option to go out and work if they want, but it's just bloody hard, like nearly impossible while they're still doing all of the stuff at home.
I'm wondering, how do you date now?
Oh, well, for the first 5 years of Charlie and I being single, I made a point of staying single. It was a choice, and I'd like to think it was my choice, but I just wanted to maximise my time with Charlie. One, because of the illness, always like, geez, it can come back, but also to if Charlie's mum decides to step back, because the door's always open. It's never closed. Should she show up, then of course she would be, welcome back. But I just wanted to focus my time on my daughter. I was amazed, enthralled, and just everything was great. But I also couldn't take the risk of somebody coming into Charlie's life and exiting after what happened with a mum.
Yes. You all said that if her mum came back, that the door would always be open. I'm presuming, just to clear a question up in my head, I'm presuming you don't mean romantically.
The funny thing is, Danusia, I get asked to speak a lot of men's groups. I don't do a lot of them because it's normally around issues of separation, and there's that much emotion tied to it, and there's that much negativity and disrespect that goes on in a lot of these groups that I can't be part of it. And the hatred, but also to a lot of these men have their children, they don't have access to their children, and a lot of them rightfully so. That's why I would say to them, the very first foundational thing for being a good father is treating the mother with the utmost respect. And a lot of them just simply couldn't do it. And that's what I would say to them. I'm not going to make a recommendation that for you to have the opportunity to poison your child against the mum, should you get access, to the child. So until you can convince me that, you're over that, you just want to focus on what's best for your child, and what's best for your child is for you to have a meaningful and respectful relationship with the mother. And get upset. That's why I had to give it away.
Well, I suspect that would be very challenging for a lot of men, because they separate the relationship with the woman, their ex, from their relationship with the children, and they don't tie it together because they don't often, from what I've seen, realize that the children pick it up. The children know, and so the children learn from that behavior.
And especially children are masters at body language and tone and things like that, because a lot of their communication is non-verbal to start with. these kids know what's going on. They can pick up on it. And that's what I say to them. A lot of the exponential growth in domestic violence that we're having starts off with a lot of disrespect at home. And it's not just disrespect between the parents, it's disrespect and controlling or authoritarian behaviour towards the kids, because they get used to, well, mum loves me and she tells me to screams and do this, do that, or else, well, that's okay if someone loves me, that's what's acceptable. Dad does it to mum, gee, that's just how men are, and if I want a man, there becomes an excusing or nearly an acceptance in the beginning of the minor stuff until it escalates into the serious stuff. Because I know a lot of outsiders just sit there and go, oh, you know, why do they let it happen? It's because it's like the frog boiling in the water. It's that gradual thing, and where a little bit by little bit by little bit until you become a bit numb to it, and then all of a sudden you're stuck in the middle of it.
I don't hear very many men discuss this. So it is very refreshing. You've obviously spent a lot of time thinking about this, haven't you?
My whole thing is to prepare her now for when I'm gone. So the majority of her life is going to be without me, and she's got to be able to navigate her own way. Charlie's never seen conflict or disagreement in the house. If I snap at Charlie, which I do from time to time, the look on her face, and I'd just say to her, Buck, you got to tell me sorry, got to tell me off. And she'll go, Dad, I don't like doing that. That's what I say to her, Bub. It doesn't matter whether it's me, whether it's a policeman, whether it's a teacher, whether it's anyone. If they speak to you in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, you need to let them know and don't accept it. Because, you know, you don't hold a grudge, because we all make mistakes, but sometimes we just don't realise.
You're talking about making sure that Charlie knows her own mind and listens to her own heart and her gut, and knows what's right from wrong. And you're doing things your way because you're not only finding out your way still, because you're human, but you're actually teaching her this. So it's a simultaneous kind of parallel track, isn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
You're still learning.
My partner now, I didn't realise it, but she said, you know, you never answer Charlie's questions. So every time she asks you a question, you ask her one back. And then, you know, Charlie would say, Dad, can we do this? And I would say, well, Bub, at the moment I'm thinking no, but tell me why it should be yes. And we like to have these debates backwards and forwards, because I want to hear her reasons. I want to know who she is and what motivates her. It's time consuming, but it's the payoff in the end. You know, it's a matter of never being dismissive of their emotions or their opinions either. So, you know, Charlie would say, oh, Dad, I don't want to do it. I say, Bub, it's not my favourite thing as well. And then I say, you know, I'll relate a story. You know, when I was a kid, what I really used to hate, you know, sometimes we'd have to do this and, you know, stuff like that. But it's just got to be done, because it's the hard stuff that we do that makes all the other stuff possible. You know, I think you've got to work on the connection to be able to guide and, you know, get the best out of your kids. The connection has to be rock solid, and the trust has to be there, and you've got to be able to explain to them the reasons in an age appropriate way that they'll be able to grasp and go, oh yeah, okay, yep, not the greatest. I see where you're coming from.
There's a big distinction here, Michael, which is kind of unspoken, I think, so far, which is that you put the time in. This connection that you're talking about, and trust and depth, doesn't come with cursory time. You have to show up, don't we, as parents, and do the work with the children and spend time, quality time and deep time. So it's quite a different quality of engagement with our children. And certainly for you as a father, it sounds like it really is a different one. Thanks for this conversation, Michael. I don't know listeners are going to love this.
Thanks so much for the opportunity, Danusia. Really appreciate it.
We don't often hear men speak like this. Michael's clarity, care and self-awareness offer a model of fatherhood that's both deeply present and refreshingly ego-free. This conversation isn't about applause, it's about accountability, about stepping up without being asked and doing the work because it matters. Until next time, keep thinking, keep questioning, and remember, whoever you are, you have a part to play in reimagining parenting. Take care.